The morning of June 13, 2025 in Ahmedabad was slightly unusual. Monsoon clouds floated in the sky, but the city was still waiting for rain. At Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport, there was a buzz of activity as passengers gathered for their flights. Ramesh and his brother Ajay arrived at the airport around 10 a.m. Excitement was clearly visible on their faces. As they were set to fly to London, Ramesh, now a British citizen, was taking his brother Ajay to London for the very first time. "There is so much I want to show you in London," Ramesh told Ajay while they stood at the check-in counter. "The Thames River, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, everything." Ajay on his first international trip was filled with anticipation. During check-in, Ramesh was assigned seat 11A, located near an emergency exit. At that time, he had no idea that this seat would end up saving his life. In another corner of the airport, a family from Gloucester was seated. Akhil Nanababa, his wife Hannah Baragi and their daughter Sarab had come to India to visit relatives and were now heading back home. Akhil was looking at photos on his phone. "Look how beautiful these are. We'll show everyone in London," he said. Elsewhere, 72-year-old Adam Tayu from Blackburn was sitting with his 70-year-old wife Hasina and their son-in-law Altaf Hussain Patel, who lived in London. At 12:30 p.m., the boarding announcement for Air India flight AI171 was made. A Boeing 787 Dreamliner stood ready on the tarmac. The aircraft was 11 years old and had completed over 700 flights in the past year. Captain Riya Sharma and co-pilot Anil Metsa had completed all their pre-flight checks. Both were experienced pilots, familiar with the route. "Everything looks good," Captain Sharma said to his co-pilot. "The weather is fine too. It'll be a smooth flight to London." The cabin crew was also making final preparations. Chief Cabin Attendant Priya Nair gave her team last-minute instructions. "We have 242 passengers today. Please make sure everyone is comfortable, especially the elderly and children." Passengers started boarding one by one. Ramesh and Ajay found their seats. As Ramesh sat in 11A, he carefully read the emergency exit instructions. Akhil and his family also took their seats. Sarah gazed out of the window curiously. By 1:30 p.m., the plane began taxiing toward the runway. There was excitement on the faces of the passengers. Some were taking final selfies, others were texting their loved ones. Ramesh messaged his wife from the plane, "We'll be back soon, just showing Ajay around London." Akhil messaged his friends, heading back to London. "Had a wonderful trip to India." The cabin crew began the safety demonstration. Priya Nair welcomed everyone on behalf of Air India and asked passengers to fasten their seatbelts and keep their seats upright. Captain Sharma requested takeoff clearance from air traffic control. "AI171 cleared for takeoff," came the reply from the tower. "Roger, AI171 cleared for takeoff." Captain Sharma responded. The plane reached the runway. The engines roared to life. A strange nervousness filled the cabin, but most passengers assumed it was normal. At 1:39 p.m., the plane took off. Everything seemed normal in the initial seconds. The aircraft was climbing rapidly. Ramesh looked out the window and saw Ahmedabad shrinking below. Agatu was gazing outside excitedly, but suddenly, something felt wrong. An unusual sound came from the aircraft. Some passengers felt the plane shaking oddly. Captain Sharma checked the flight controls. Warning lights had started flashing. "Something's not right," he said to his co-pilot. Just 30 seconds after takeoff, the situation began to deteriorate. The plane wasn't climbing as it should. According to flight radar data, it reached only 625 feet in altitude, far below normal. Captain Sharma immediately recognized the gravity of the situation and sent an emergency call to air traffic control. "Mayday, Mayday, AI171 in emergency." His voice echoed in the tower. The tower responded promptly, asking the nature of the emergency, but there was no reply. Contact had been lost. Panic spread inside the plane. Some passengers realized something was terribly wrong. Children started crying. The cabin crew tried to calm everyone, though later sensed the seriousness of the situation. Priya Nair made an announcement urging passengers to stay calm and remain seated, but the fear in her voice was evident. In the cockpit, Captain Sharma and co-pilot Mehta were desperately trying to stabilize the aircraft. They made one last attempt, but the plane's weight and momentum were beyond their control. Total panic had set in. The plane was now descending rapidly. Below, the Megani Nuga area of Ahmedabad came into view. BJ Medical College and Civil Hospital were located there. It was lunchtime at the doctor's hostel. Medical students and doctors were having their meals, unaware that in a few moments, their lives would change forever. Captain Sharma tried to steer the aircraft away from populated areas, but by now, it was no longer in his control. At 1:40 p.m., just 1 minute after takeoff, flight AI171 crashed into the doctor's hostel in Megani Nuga. A massive explosion followed. Thick black smoke rose into the sky. The people of Ahmedabad rushed out of their homes and looked up at the sky in disbelief. The journey of 242 passengers, which was meant to reach London, ended on the soil of Ahmedabad. A part of the aircraft tore through the roof of the hostel dining hall, where nearly 50 medical students and doctors were having lunch. Plates lay scattered. The quiet was replaced by screams. Meenakshi Parekh, dean of BJ Medical College, was in her office when she heard the blast. At first I thought it was a bomb, she later said. But when I stepped outside, I saw a giant hole in the hostel roof and flames everywhere. On the second floor of the hostel, a mother saw her doctor's son jump from the building. He was injured but alive. When he jumped, I screamed, the woman said. But thank God, he survived. Amid the wreckage, seat 11A, where Ramesh had been sitting, became the difference between life and death. When the plane crashed, I thought I was dead. Ramesh later told reporters at the hospital. There was smoke, fire, and noise everywhere. But after a few seconds, he realized he was still alive. His eyes opened. He was breathing. I unbuckled my seatbelt and looked around, he said. There was a small opening near me. Seat 11A was right next to the emergency exit. During the crash, this part of the plane had not collided directly with the building. The door had broken off, creating a tiny escape route. I saw the broken door and knew it was my only chance, Ramesh said. He called out to his brother Ajay, but there was no response. Smoke and flames made it impossible to see. I kept calling his name, but heard nothing, Ramesh said, his voice choked with emotion. I wanted to find him, but the fire was spreading. In the end, Ramesh made the toughest decision of his life and used the small exit to escape. The moment the crash was reported, emergency services in Ahmedabad sprang into action. Fire brigades, ambulances, police, and hospital staff rushed to the scene. The city's fire chief said they dispatched 15 engines immediately. When we arrived, we saw an enormous fire, he said. BBC reporter Rox Gagdekar, who was nearby, said people were running to save as many lives as possible. I saw them pulling bodies from the wreckage. It was heartbreaking. Black smoke covered the sky. News of the crash spread throughout the city. An emergency was declared at BJ Medical College and Civil Hospital. It was a strange situation. The hospital now had to treat its own people. Dean Meenakshi Parekh said, "We lost 4 of our medical students and family members of 4 doctors. It was the hardest time of our lives." Ramesh was taken to the emergency ward immediately. His condition was critical, but he was conscious. Even at the hospital, "I couldn't believe I survived," he said. Doctors found he had sustained multiple injuries, but nothing life-threatening. "It's a miracle," the doctors said. "Out of 242 people, only 1 person survived. It's a blessing from above," they said. One of the hardest challenges after the crash was identifying the bodies. Most were severely burned. The cause of the crash was still unknown. Authorities searched for the black box. The crash claimed the lives of 241 passengers and more than 50 college students. June 13, 2025, will be remembered forever, not just for the tragedy, but also for the lesson it taught. That each moment, every breath, is precious. AI171 never completed its journey. 241 dreams remained unfulfilled, but their memory will live on as a warning, as a lesson, and as a prayer that such a tragedy never happens again.